Okay, go ahead.
Where do you want me to start?
At the beginning.
I was pretty messed up at the time. I'd been through a nasty breakup. I lost my job. Drinking had become the only thing that made me feel better. Shortly after that is when I heard of Pastor Avery.
This was only a few months after your daughter had passed away, right?
That's right. Karen was my world, and to not have her with me, that was a torture. And then I had a coworker come in, and he told me about this new church that was starting to pick up steam in the area. He said that the people were a little odd, but they were good people. And Pastor Avery, he had a heart for people that were hurting.
Hurting?
People who had been broken by life. People like me. I was literally one step away from just ending it. I had all the pills lined up on my kitchen table, and then the phone rang. It was Pastor Avery. He asked me how I was. I lied. He told me God loved me, and that he loved me also. Then he said, "Beth, life is worth living." And then he hung up. I couldn't believe it. I mean, how could he know? I just had to find out more, and from the moment I walked through the doors of that church, I felt like I was home.
Home? No, I don't know if I would go so far as to call it home. It was nice. People made you feel welcome. They were genuine. But there was always something a little off about Avery.
How so?
Well, I don't really know how to explain it. It's like on the outside, everything was normal. But if you look closer, you could tell something was just off. There was this satisfaction on his face when things started getting crazy.
Crazy?
Yeah, it seemed innocent at first. You'd go down to the front for prayer. But then he started asking people if they wanted to experience God in a whole new way, a supernatural way. He said it was time for the church to wake up and have an encounter with God in a way that most people never will.
So naturally, some people started flocking to the front, and Avery would put his hands on them. And when he did that, people started falling back, yelling, screaming. Some people even started twitching.
Twitching?
Yeah, almost like they were possessed. It actually scared me a little bit.
And if you were scared, why didn't you leave?
Where would I have gone? Just before that, I was ready to end my life because I was too scared of what my future held for me. To leave the church would have just been me giving right back into that fear again. I felt that I should stand my ground. That's what Pastor Avery taught me.
So looking back, do you feel that you made the right choice?
No.
Why? What happened that would make you change your mind?
I learned that the devil was real.
Are you referring to the event that happened on April 13th?
Yes. It started off like any normal service. Then Pastor Avery started telling us about this vision he had. And in this vision, we were supposed to rise up and take back our countries, our families, and our lives for God. by any means necessary.
He said in order to do this, we needed to be filled with a special spirit. And after being filled, God would impart his divine plan to us. He said for everyone to make their way down front for their filling.
And this didn't sound off to anyone?
I mean, it was crazy. A few people stood up. They started questioning Avery. It was mostly the same people who had already started questioning him over the past few weeks.
So there was tension rising in the church.
Oh, yeah. As the more supernatural aspects started becoming more popular, some people felt that focus was being taken off the more important aspects of the church.
How did Pastor Avery respond to the opposition?
Screamed at them. He called them heretics, asked why they would question the will of God. At that point, some of the more devoted followers stood up and started yelling at the others as well.
Did it get violent?
Yes.
What happened next?
Avery started praying for people, but it was different. It was more magnified. The yelling, the shaking, even feeling the air. It was oppressing.
The energy toward the front was insane. The looks on people's faces when Avery put his hands on them, it's like their faces started to contort. Their faces physically changed.
At that point, the people standing in the front, they just started screaming and wailing. It was almost deafening. The people that were sitting in the seats in the back, they just were getting really scared by it, and a lot of them couldn't even take it, and they just ran right out of the church.
Did you leave?
No. I stayed.
Then what happened?
To be honest, I'm really not sure. Something happened up front, and people started freaking out, and they started running back to their seats, and they were looking over their shoulders like there was something up there to fear.
Was there anything that you could see that would cause that type of reaction?
No.
Well, we didn't know what to do. No one knew what to do. So someone called the police, and the police showed up, and the police didn't know how to handle the situation. But you know, who would know what to do? Who would know how to handle something like that?
And where was Avery while all of this was happening?
Gone. In the midst of all that chaos, he just disappeared.
So it was a scam.
No, it was a lot of things, but it was definitely not a scam. We saw things that you cannot fake.
And what was the fallout like for everyone else at the church?
Everyone lost something that day. A lot of people lost their pride. Some people lost their families. And some people even lost their faith.
What happened to you after the events?
My life has completely fallen apart. How am I supposed to keep going on day after day without him?
God?
No. Pastor Avery.
It was hard at first, but I'm doing okay. I found myself a good grief counseling group, and they helped me not only with what happened with Avery, but with my daughter Karen as well.
And if I may ask, How has this affected your faith?
I don't know.
I was a little messed up because of what happened. But my faith wasn't affected. I found a new church, and I'm really happy there.
A new church? And how could you...
Trust any place like that again?
Yeah.
I mean, despite everything that happened, I experienced something very real, something genuine in my life.
But so did many others.
No, what a lot of other people experienced was an emotional high. They wanted a quick fix to their problems. They didn't actually want a change in their life, and because of that, they opened themselves to something dark, something evil.
Okay, but you heard the same message as them. What makes what happened to you so different?
Amory's message originated from the truth. But then he trailed off into a more sinister place. Everyone followed the trail. I followed the truth.